Well, let's turn to some potential solutions. This is doesn't seem like an easy fix because we are talking about things that are ingrained and ongoing and baked into the cake to a certain extent. So, solution by solutions, I mean sort of very broad policy themes of what types of things could the politicians be thinking about that could ameliorate or mitigate some of these circumstances?
Right. We're not helpless in the face of demographic change. And the impact of demographic change on the economy and society doesn't happen overnight. It accumulates slowly over time. And there are important steps that we can take. And I'd classify them, and I put them in two bins, maybe, or maybe three bins. The first bin is to limit the extent of population aging itself. Until recently, the concerns about economic growth, social mood, and geopolitical stature that I've mentioned were not as grave as they appear today. And that was because for several decades, the United States was really an outlier in the developed world. Yeah, we were aging, and yeah, the baby boom was going to accelerate that aging, but we had a fertility rate that was up at the replacement level, needed to maintain a stable population. And we had substantial net immigration. But since the Great Recession, birth rates have fallen, are now at record historical lows. Net immigration has fallen, and the US, unless these come back up, is going to age a lot more than the official projections by the Census Bureau or the Social Security Administration or the CBO project. So the first set of reforms is to limit the extent of population. We may be able to bring birth rates back up again if we institute policies that make it that alleviate the costs of child rearing and make it easier for families to balance family and job responsibilities. That's all become a lot harder for millennials than it was for Xers or boomers at the same age. Whether we can bring back up the birth rate or not to replacement levels it's iffy, but it's certainly worth the try for a lot of reasons. A surer way to do that would be to increase net immigration, which has at the margin tremendous benefits for an aging society. So that's the first set. The second set, and the word you used was perfect, mitigate, right? For any given level of population aging, to mitigate the demographic drag on economic growth. We can increase labor force participation, especially among the elderly, who are not only America's the fastest growing segment of the population, but the largest underutilized human capital resource we have. Prior to the pandemic, elderly labor force participation was rising. Coming out of the pandemic, government needs to do, public policy needs to do whatever it can to encourage that positive development. We can resist protectionist pressure. An aging world needs open global capital markets and open global labor markets to match workers with job opportunities, to match savings with investment opportunities. It becomes more important, not less important. We're shooting ourselves in the foot if we shut the door to globalization. And so mitigate the demographic drag on economic growth. And yes, to bring it back full circle, mitigate the demographic pressure on government budgets. And that means, above all, grappling with healthcare reform, because that's the most explosive driver of rising old age benefit spending, which is in turn what's at the root of our structural budget deficits, COVID-related spending entirely aside.